What is going on, everybody? Kamusta kayo lahat mula sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, or wherever the heck you are on the planet? This is your one and only Jake of all trades, the place to be for any niche, every genre, and all generations. I am your master of ceremony, D to the E to the LRO, aka JDR, aka the extraordinary introvert. So, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed our Christmas special. Yeah, that was the last episode that we did. It was just fun doing it. I super duper appreciate all the support that everyone's been giving me and my family, not just for that particular EP, but over the holiday season. I hope that particular episode kind of brightened up the mood, despite this being a different Christmas season from the rest. So yeah, once again, thank you to everyone who tuned in our previous episode. And I know Christmas is over. Like, as of this recording, we're recording this a day after Christmas, but the holidays are just warming up. So for those who may still be working, don't worry, it's a 2-day work week. December 30, 31, 1, and all the days beyond. That's pretty much our time to just recover, just relax, and just gear up for what is about to be a much better 2021. Let's claim it, guys. So yeah, let's enjoy the remainder of the holidays. For whatever stuff we have to finish in 2020, let's finish it on a high note, and let's just get to it. And that applies for my podcast as well. We are nearing the deep waters of the pod, and as early as now, I'd like to show my appreciation and my gratitude to every single supporter, every single fan. I don't do this for clout. I don't do this for free likes and stuff. I just do this because I love doing what I'm doing and love doing it for y'all always. So let's finish these last stretch of EPs on a high note. So before we start, since the theme was family for the last episode, we're going to stick to that a little bit by introducing to y'all an extension of our family. So if the last time we were able to talk directly, or if I was able to talk directly to my family members, now we're going to talk to some of my cousins over here, and one of these guests, I'm sure y'all have seen her before, and we're gonna get right into it. But before we do start, don't y'all miss traveling? Let's admit it. Usually by this time, kapag mga Pasko season or even the week before Christmas, NAIA would be flooded with passengers, travelers, tourists, you name it. So people from across the globe will be going in and out of the Philippines. People from other parts of the world will be going to the Philippines. Yeah, pretty much y'all get the gist. It is pretty festive and it is pretty packed over at our airports. But now, that's not really the case. Although we've been seeing some reports, some news that there are still some balikbayans who come here. But obviously the circumstances are different. But for me and some of my guests, and I guess for some of y'all, I guess the one major thing that 2020 has deprived us of is the fact that we could not travel anymore, and it is pretty much a bummer. But don't worry, because this episode, we're just going to take it back to some of our memorable traveling experiences, and what better guests to have than two well-traveled tourists, fashionistas, of the family, you know what I'm saying? So as you can see, they've been all over the world. They've been to New York, they've been to Sanfo, they've been to Singapore, and they've been to their favorite continent in the world. They've been to Europe. Meanwhile, you have me. I've only been to New York, Cubao, and I've only been to McKinley Hills, Taguig. So, yep, these two guys over here, they're well-traveled and they're more experienced than I am. But it's all good. We're going to have a lot of fun sharing our experiences. So I know my intro's kind of stretching a little bit, but because I want to make it a bang, I want to make it a good one, because these guests deserve a fire intro. So guys, without further ado, let's welcome back Leah, and let's welcome aboard Chin Chin. They are more known as the Alejo Sisters. Let's give it up for them, guys.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, what is up?
Happy holidays, everyone. Merry
Yes.
Christmas.
Yes.
Happy New Year soon.
For sure. And guys, sorry, I might have to, maybe playfully tease you guys a little bit. But this running joke about how, big four schools, and your ninong and nina will be like, oh, kamusta yung college life? So, for example, you have a UST student who's like, oh, chill lang, with all the bio and med stuff, and then yung LaSalle like, oh, it's good with all the business stuff, and then UP, oh, ang hirap to navigate the campus. And then you have the Atenean na nag-JTA, right? So they'll be like, oh, back when I was in Europe, I had to go make udos my roommate. I had to make Sama this roommate who was scared of the dark, and went to Paris and Disney. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, these two are an example of that. They've been all over Europe. They've been all over the world, and we're gonna have so much fun just sharing some of our favorite traveling experiences. So I know I've been talking too much and all, but ngayon, kayo naman yung mag-share. So I'm sure I missed out on some stuff, and I didn't really give formal intro, so this is your chance to fill in. So go ahead, girls, take it away.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead first. No? I'm Chin, Jake's cousin, and yes, I've been on JTA. I was batch 2014 of Ateneo, and I took my JTA.
Don't forget the V.
Okay, the Ateneo, and I took my JTA back in 2012. So that was a bit long ago, but Jake was right when he told you guys that when people ask how college life was, I always go back to my JTA experience because it's really the highlight of my college years. So yes.
Yeah. That's for sure. Thank you, Chinchin, for that. And before we go to Leah, by the way, what were some of the countries that you traveled? I know I said a few, but I'm sure the list wasn't complete. So just to give a quick rundown of some of the places that you've gone, whether JTA or not.
Yeah, I'll start with my JTA. The school I went to back in JTA was in France, in Pau, France. It's a bit provincial. It's not like Paris, but hey, it's France, right?
Yeah.
And also, once you're there, you can't help but go around naman in Europe because it's so easy to go around. So I went to around 10 countries aside from France. So that included usual touristy ones like Spain, Germany, Italy, Greece, Netherlands, and then Belgium, yung mga katabi talaga. And then after that, I also took my master's abroad, so that included London and United Kingdom, and then in USA, so that's in New York and San Francisco. And of course, in between, family travels with Delro here in USA. Was it in Singapore? Our first travel abroad.
Yeah.
And then Japan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hong Kong. Yeah. Some of the places that I've been to, and a lot of them I want to go back to eventually.
All right, that's good stuff right there. So, ikaw naman, Leah. So, I guess share with me. Well, I actually have been in this show before, but I guess like some of the places you've gone to, and I guess any other info.
Yes. So, hello again. Hi, everyone. I'm Leah again. So, Jake's cousin. So, like my sister here, I took my junior term abroad in France also, but in a different city. So I took my junior term abroad in Lille, France. It's in the north of France. It's near the Belgian border, near the France and Belgium border. I took my studies in Université Catholique de Lille, and in between studying. So there's a certain stereotype that JTA students who go to Europe do not study. I'm going to break the stereotype because we did study. Me and my roommate, Shanda Malata, shout out to my very brilliant roommate. So we did study, but of course, in between studying, we had some fun times. So we would plan to go to other countries on vacation weeks and our weekends. So some of the countries that we went to would be Spain, would be Netherlands as well, Belgium. We went to Germany, and then we went to Czech Republic, Hungary, and then Austria. So those are some of the countries that we went to. And then after my junior term abroad, as I mentioned from our previous podcast, I took my internship in the States, in New York. So that's my other lengthy stay abroad, aside from here in the Philippines. And then also family travels with Delro over here, with Jake, and then with the rest of the family. So that would be in the States as well, and then in Japan, and then Singapore. There.
Wow, good stuff. But yo, look at that pronunciation, guys. Can you say that again for me? You know, your what's that, French accent or Italian? Like,
Yes. So we were required to take French classes there. So it's Université Catholique de Lille.
sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied, guys.
You'll get the hang of it.
Wow, so fluent, guys. Yep. Look at that. But yeah, wow, that's a long list of countries. That's a long list of activities right there. Like I said, I mean, the only place I've ever gone to was New York, Cubao, and McKinley Hill, Taguig. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, my two cousins did clarify that I did, join with them and the rest of my family to some trips abroad, although it's not as long as a sem's worth or 5 months worth of living abroad. Like we did go together in San Francisco, LA, New York, and believe it or not, guys, you can call it cap or not, but exactly this time last year was my first ever experience of Europe. Yep. This time last year, literally day after Christmas, we made our way to Rome, Italy, and one of the best trips, man. Like, literally enjoyed every single day. Of course, we went around Venice, we went around Florence, and all the other places. And super duper in the nick of time, because that was right at the start, that was right at the inception of, you know what, I won't even say it, but yeah, y'all get the picture, right? So super duper lucky that I got to experience one of the last few months of normalcy in one of the most iconic places in Europe. So yeah, that is just what's up right there. So now that we were able to share some of our countries, some of the places that we got to visit, I guess before we start, Traveling 101. So before we continue sharing again, because make no mistake about it, traveling now is certainly going to be different for sure. Even if, things go quote unquote back to normal, there will be a whole lot more protocols. It's going to be a lot stricter. It's going to be a lot more, I don't want to say overkill, but like for sure it's going to be a lot more compliances, and rightfully so. So I guess, Lee and Chichen, even though neither of us have experienced traveling during this pandemic, what are some of the tips you can give some of our listeners who are aching to travel already? Whether it's a simple road trip or a first experience with an airline. So Traveling 101. So you guys are the experts. You guys know how to navigate your way through that airport, through that airline, wherever, through your stops. So what are some of the important things to note when traveling, whether with family or whether traveling by yourselves?
Jake, for me, regardless of the situation, research is always important. Especially now that everything is so accessible and all the information you should know can be searched on the internet. It's not too difficult for anyone to look up what the requirements are first and foremost, and what the situation is in the place that you're going to be going to. Also, given all the strict compliances that we have to follow eventually, in the coming years, for sure the travel is allowed, but you have to know what the country you're going to is requiring, because mahirap na when you get there, then you're gonna be asked for a lot of things and then you don't have it. So imagine the waste in time and resources. So if I were you, be ready. Aside from being ready with packing and everything, be ready with all those necessary documents, because it's gonna save you like a lot of hassle. diba? Especially with cross-border traveling. So yeah, research is key.
Yeah, could not agree with you more right there. And I guess before we go with Leah, and sorry for cutting off right there, but I want to share a story in relation to what Chinchin said. And sorry, Dad, I know you were in the recent episode, but I'm gonna have to say an embarrassing story, but it's just for fun, it's all for laughter and stuff. But remember when you said na you joined us in Singapore?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sure you guys remember. Like, the thing kasi is, nauna kami, diba? Nauna kami with sina Lolo and all that. And
Mhm.
you'd figure we'd have all the documents ready, right? We packed days before. But it just so happened, we forgot a document. And di ko nasasabi kung ano yun, but we forgot a document and my dad was like so guilty. Grabe. Like,
I think I
grabe.
remember.
Yes, I think I don't know what you call the airport lady, but like yung nasa man, I forgot. Anong terminology? Like, I think immigration ba yun or whatever.
Yes, the immigration
Yeah,
officer.
immigration. She was like, "Oh, you can't pass because may nakalimutan kayong dokumento." And knowing my dad, he knows how to talk his way out of things. He was like, "Oh, kawawa naman, may mga bata pa kami na dinala and we have an old lolo over here." So, thanks to the element of negotiations, nakalusot kami. And thankfully, you guys, you followed the day after. And I think my mom texted your mom na, "Oh, is it okay if you guys bring this document? Just pass by the house and then show it na lang when you get there." And the rest is history. But yeah, I mean, the whole be prepared with your documents, it literally gave me war flashbacks to that epic fail moment for not just my dad, but it's really on us because we did not know that we needed that. But yeah, it just emphasizes the need for importance. And especially now, when we're going to go back to traveling, expect a lot more documents pa. Such as testing, historical health tracks, and all of that. So, it pays to do your research. All right, Leah, your turn.
It would be different from one country to another. So
Yes.
you have to look out for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Leah, sorry about that. Your turn.
No problem. So I think my tip would be, it's quite related to my sister's tip, but this is more for the traveler themselves. So it's really being mindful. So it's mindfulness in all aspects. So like what Jake mentioned, I also had a very oops moment when I was booking my flight to France. So I was typing my name for the ticket, but then it was already booked and everything. And then I noticed that the spelling of my name was wrong. So that was a really lesson learned, because it did bring a lot of hassle. Like, I had to call the agent, I had to call the credit card, I had to rebook another flight. It was very hassle, and I was really scared at that time because I thought that we would have to pay twice for a ticket. But thankfully, the cancellation was for free, and then we got back the money. So my mindfulness tip would start there. It would really be mindful from the very start. So whether it's from your planning, it's from your packing in the airport, especially now that we have of course a very different situation. Of course, we have to be like in masks and everything, but maybe in the future, maybe we would still be required, but it still pays to be mindful. And then of course, when you get to the country itself, also pays to be mindful. So it's quite related to the research. Of course, it goes hand in hand, but then this is more of being aware of the situation of what's happening in the now. So the research is for foreseeing what could happen when you're there. This is the mindfulness would come in when you're already there in that situation. So it's important to stay calm and do not let emotions get over you. That's it.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And yeah, guys, I mean, it's inevitable naman na every single traveler, whether experienced or first time, makakaaberya. Like, be prepared, be ready that there's gonna be a minor setback. Pero that's why it's minor lang. Kasi once you figure it out and once you sort out these things, everything will just go smooth sailing again. But yeah, it really pays to do research. And again, I want to give both Leah and Chichen a shout out here because before our trip to Rome last year, they were the ones helping me and my mom book B&Bs kasi sobrang nahirapan kami to look for accommodations and all that. But without your help, because obviously they're the ones who pretty much know Europe because they've been there na longer than we have. They were the ones who gave us recommendations, just do's and don'ts and all that other good stuff. So yeah, major props to them for helping us out in navigating our way through Europe because it's not easy for sure. With all the language barriers and all the new rules and all that, it's not easy. So yeah, thank you for your input. So now that we were able to talk traveling 101 from the airport and from the packing, I guess this is a good segue because Leah did mention be wary of your current destinations, like situation, behaviors, and all that. So I guess let's talk about getting to your destination. So first of all, I guess what's it like being in a new place? Nakaka-nervyos ba? Nakaka-excite? And I guess also, what are some of your memorable moments for better or for worse? And it can be any place. Although if you're willing to give a detailed description of every single place you've been to, I'm more than welcome. But I'm sure you guys won't have the memories for that. But I guess some of your favorite and I don't know, embarrassing maybe. But yeah, just share with me. I don't know, some of the things that you miss the most about traveling to new places, regardless of where that is.
Okay, I'll go first. To be honest, the JTA, it has been my dream since I was in first year high school. So I learned about JTA when my mom showed me this article from, I'm not sure if it was from the Guidon or it was from a national newspaper, but it was an article about Chris Chu. Chris Chu who went on his JTA in France. Naman Chris Chu that time, right?
Yes.
And it was new. During his time, I think the program was relatively new. So, and I was in first year high school. So, from that point on, I knew that I wanted to, it sealed my determination to get into Ateneo. And of course, I did everything I could just to be able to go to France in my third year of college. So imagine the wait and the sacrifices, and the sleepless nights just to get the minimum grade requirement. And then, when I got there, when I landed in France with my friends, it was really surreal because it was 7 years in the making. So imagine the build up from first year high school and then that day, September 4th, when I landed in France. It was really something else because that was also the first time that I'm gonna be away from home for more than a month. In fact, I was away for 3.5 months. So I really prepped myself, mentally, emotionally, because this is gonna be, that was gonna be a really big change and a really changing experience for someone, right? When you're very independent, you get to plan everything, you have to budget your money. Of course, you cannot exceed what you have, right? I mean, that time, credit cards, we use a lot of credit cards. Actually, no, I wasn't used to using credit cards then. So, talagang cash yung dala ko. So, I was really, matipid. I was kind of frugal, at that point. But, I thought, this is once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And you don't have to buy a lot of things. Or the most important experience you'll have there is the culture. Of course, the studies, because the studies there in France is very different from the studying culture back in Ateneo. In fact, it was, I mean, compared to Leah, I guess mine was more lax because we didn't really have a lot of requirements, or if we did, it
Wow.
was paced very slow, I guess, or slower at least than Ateneo's. So that's why we got to know our French classmates. Actually, not just French classmates, because our school was an international business school, sort of. So we didn't just have French classmates. We also had classmates from the US. We had classmates from Asia as well. And a lot of them were really interested in us because, like I said, Pau was like a provincial town in France. So they don't really get a lot of tourists there. So everyone was very curious, like where we're from, where the heck is the Philippines, what they just hear the Philippines in the news or online and stuff. So, but they don't really know how the people are, like, how people communicate and stuff. It's a good thing that our classmates, since it's an international setting, it's a good thing that they are also fluent in English. The misconception that French don't really like to speak English, it's quite true, but they're willing because that's your meeting point. So yeah, we got to know a lot about other people, about other cultures there, especially when we go from one country to another. It varies, surprisingly, even though they're in like one single landlocked continent. It varies from one country to another. So it's really, there's always something new when you travel outside of France, when we traveled outside of France. There are a lot of memorable experiences, honestly, and you can't really pick like which one is the most memorable. But when you ask me what the feeling was when I got there, it was really something else. It was like out of this world because I was extremely happy. I was extremely excited because I would just really wanted to start that journey that day. Right.
Wow,
Yes.
that is amazing. Interesting stuff. So guys, basically in short, that was a very detailed story. But no, it's good. But in case y'all didn't really get the gist, basically the reason why Chin Chin wanted to go to France was because her celebrity crush Christy did it. So that pretty much sums up.
Although a lot of people know about it anyway.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Exposed.
It's okay. All right, Leah,
So-
your turn.
So it's my turn. So unlike my sister, like Ate Chinchin, before I went in my studying abroad for college, I was part of this cultural exchange program when I was in 6th grade. So
Yeah.
I think I was just 12 years old then. So that was the first time I was really exposed to traveling. It was my first time to travel, period. So and I was alone. So that experience really taught me to appreciate traveling and then to like look out for myself in a way, even though I was just 12 years old. So that's why when I was going for my junior term abroad, my studying abroad, I was really excited because I would get that feeling again, that feeling of independence, that feeling of excitement. I do not know what to expect, but I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it, whether it would be horrible or amazing. But of course, there are no horrible experiences there. All those learnings, all the things that I've learned there and experienced are all learning experiences. So on that day, when we arrived in France, another funny story, but although another weird and sad story, my luggage got lost. So it went to another part of France, my carry-on luggage, and that carry-on luggage had my coat in it, and
Oh
We
my
were-
gosh.
so we went out of the airport in Lille at -2 degrees, and I had no coat. So
Oh my gosh, that's tough.
after a very tiring I think around 16-hour flight because of the layovers and everything. And then when we finally arrived there, I was really happy that I was gonna rest. I was gonna be able to rest. And then I found out that my luggage went to another part of France. So thankfully, there were people there who were willing to help me. So I just suffered for a bit, like for a night of no coats and everything. But then the day after, I got my luggage back. So that's another funny story. But then, set aside. But then I would say my memorable experience, especially in Lille where I studied, would be there's a boulangerie beside our flat. So it's a bakery in French. It's like every corner in that city has a boulangerie. So the one beside our flat, she couldn't speak English. Like Ate Chinchin said, it is quite true the way people say about French people, that they kind of get awkward or I guess uneasy and anxious whenever someone does not know how to speak French. But what's important to them is that you would try to reach out to them and then they would be willing to listen. So that's what I did. So actually my learning experience in my French would be the boulangerie beside my flat because I had to order bread every day. But since she couldn't understand English, I had to learn French. So my the most fluent sentence I can do in French would be ordering bread and fruits because of that. Because of my everyday experience in the boulangerie.
Pwede pa sample.
Maybe next time.
Alright. It's all good.
Because maybe French fans would be would laugh at me.
It's all good. I mean, I'm sure bonjour is like that's the only French word I know.
It would go a long way because people would see that you're willing to like open up a conversation. So there's nothing too small.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, as you can see, even though both Chin and Leah, they went through the same program, super iba yung mga experiences nila. Like, I did not know that, Leah. I did not know that you lost your luggage. Like, I only know that story now. And it's crazy to think, no? Like, that's like an oh shoot moment right there because can you imagine, like, I'm not sure what were the other stuff or the other contents in your bag besides your coat, but can you imagine if that was like your school ID or an important
most of my
document?
thermals and my coat. Thankfully, my documents were with me, but it's really the layers because it's in the middle of winter.
Yeah,
there, so
exactly.
really difficult.
It actually pays to just put all your documents and everything that you need in a backpack that you carry with you all the time. Because some people put it in their carry-ons, and like in Leah's case, you'll never know like what might happen. So at least all the required stuff, all the necessary ones that you really
identification,
have, especially IDs, you have to have it close with you. Kahit yun na lang, kahit yung coat maiwan na.
Yes, wag lang passport.
Wag lang lahat ng document.
Yeah. That's so true. And yeah, guys, it just pays to just relax, calm down, because one way or another, you're gonna find your way out of this. I don't know how, I don't know even why, but like, as you can see naman, right? Like, despite Leah losing her luggage, she was able to get it back. I don't know if Chinchin had any similar aberiyas before, but I'm sure knowing the fate of the universe, like everything
more
will be
mindful than I was.
Yeah. But like the point is, regardless of what happens, just stay calm. Like, it's easy to overreact. I mean, I personally am guilty of it. And it's hard naman because you don't predict these things. You don't prepare for these things. They just happen randomly. But it just pays to take a collective breath, calm down, and eventually may makakatulong sa'yo. So just so long as you're open to...
You mustn't panic in those kinds of situations, because when you panic, you can't think straight.
Yeah.
And when you think straight, you cannot think of solutions. So calm yourself down. Shit happens, really. That's life. Always look for solutions. It's a good thing. The French, at least in her situation, were really kind.
Yes.
But in cases where it's really just you, look for the easy, like fastest solution. And it's also important to have open lines of communication, like in your phone. It's better to be prepared to have like a local SIM already if it's possible, because that way once you land, you'll be able to use it to call people if you really need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I guess this is a good segue to my next question, because whether you're traveling alone or with family, like there's that sort of independence factor that you need to have, like when you're traveling. And I'll just share like a quick story, since ang dami niyong mga kwento. You've had more experience than I have, but I guess the closest thing to me being alone in a foreign country, even though I haven't had any solo flights before, like that was the one thing I was looking forward to pa naman in 2020, but of course we all know what happened. But yeah, the nearest, the closest thing I can think of na ako lang yung mag-navigate ng sarili kong path in a foreign country was New Year's Day of 2020. I think from our B&B in Vatican. Like I was gonna meet kasi with one of my longtime friends who went to Rome for her MA. So I was literally all alone at night, walking in the middle of the highway to the train station. I'm not sure what it was, but Termini ba siya or whatever. But yeah, I was so lost. But thankfully, I had my good friend Google Maps find the way, and eventually we were able to meet. Yeah, we were able to meet. We had dinner. She made me try out the carbonara there. And then the way back was also not easy because, I think I had to stop at this one particular stop and she had like 2 more to go. So basically I was on my own again. So there were moments, I think, as I was walking on the way back to the B&B, I think I missed it by 2 or 3 blocks. Like I was 2 or 3 blocks na lagpas na sa B&B namin. So it was so difficult, it was so hard, but thankfully, Google Maps was there. Thankfully, I charged my phone before the meetup, and I was able to find my way back. But I guess that's like one of the things I won't forget, not just of traveling in general, but just 2020. Like, can you imagine beginning the year, all alone at night in the middle of the road in Vatican or in Rome, like trying to just find your way to the train station. Like, promise, kung walang Google Maps or kung walang navigation, like mawawala talaga ako. So I guess it's like a proud moment for me because being in foreign soil, like all alone, no taxi, no nothing. I had to walk to the station. It was hard, but I was able to make it out alive, and that's really important thing.
Congratulations. That was a big achievement.
So yeah, I guess yun nga, like how your independence be tested, because diba, like the common notion when you see people traveling is sarap ng buhay nila, they get to go to all these places, but what they don't see is the stuff that happens outside the cameras, or when they don't post their stuff on FB or IG. Now, they have to clean up their own condo, they have to navigate their own way, they have to know when the bus stop arrives, and all that other logistic stuff. So I guess tell me about how you were able to find your way through all the different places in Europe or America, wherever. I mean, New York also is a different jungle with their complex subway system. So I guess yun nga, how were you able to find your way through these difficult directions and all this other stuff?
I'll go first again. Jake would know this because we have the same lolo.
Yes.
And we were raised so well by Lolo Jess that whenever we travel, everything is planned beforehand, way beforehand. So I always knew that I'm better at being independent, but I've never really tested it. So my JTA phase was my confirmation that I was good. I was really good at being independent, and I knew what to do. I knew what to fix. I knew how much to spend, and of course, I knew up to what limit that adventure and fun would be for me. Of course, this is all very very personal. This is on my experience, on my personal perspective. Because some people really go out there and seek out for adventure. Me, as a person, the surprises don't really. I don't really welcome them as much. That's why, as much as possible, I minimize the surprises that would come my way when I'm alone, because it's second nature for me to think of contingencies.
Yeah.
So, like what Dad taught us. So when I was there, everything was planned talaga. Like, I know where to go. I know how to get there. If there are places around that I can check out, I would. But I would stick to that. That's the drawback, I guess. Because it's super planned, when things didn't go the way I planned it, I get anxious agad. I get
Can relate.
scared.
Can relate.
Yes, I get parang I feel like I didn't prepare enough. I feel like I sort of failed myself in planning. But of course, those are your learning experiences. So you will get to know, like, up to what extent you could handle changes. So it's not just in traveling. Well, in traveling, you learn that point where you get the point of comfort that you would get used to, and then it would reflect, eventually, as you, even without traveling. Like for myself, I learned how to adjust to changes in work, in school, with people. So it's really when you travel and when you learn from traveling, it affects you for the rest of your life. Being independent after JTA, I looked for other opportunities to practice my independence. So I can say that if you leave me alone, somewhere, you wouldn't worry about me.
Yeah.
Let's say. And we're all really thankful to Lolo for that. He prepared us really well.
Yes, definitely. And God rest his soul as well. But shout out to our two mamas, si
And our
Tita
moms,
Xi and to my mom, because sila yung pinaka-nervyosa sa pamilya. So, it's just us giving our reassurance that, wherever we're gonna be in the world, we're gonna be just fine. Should we decide to eventually, move out one of these days. But yeah, definitely preparedness is key. Because even if, the unpredictable stuff happens, by being prepared, at least you know what to do. And should these surprises come your way, you've been trained by yourself and I guess by other people. These are just some of the steps you have to do, and eventually things will pan out well. So yeah, super duper important to be prepared at all times, regardless of the circumstance.
So for me naman, this is quite different from my sister, because if she's the one who plans point per point, I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay, I'll plan for how to get there. And then, okay, fine, we're gonna plan for which places to go on this day. But then in between, we would have more space, more freedom. We don't have to have a plan per se. We can just go around. We can just walk around wherever the tram leads us, the train, the subway, all those things. So I would say it is quite different from what my sister experienced, because for us naman, it's in the middle of planning and adventure. So yun nga, we would look for, because I think my sister did a full-on train itinerary, so it's already planned per destination. So if in our case naman, we would go to we would search the travel apps that we had. So let's Go Euro. That's for the intercontinental country planes, airplane rides, and train rides, and everything like that. So that's where we would search for cheap destinations for this weekend. And then, oh, okay, this looks good. We don't know what's really in there, but okay, this looks fun. We're gonna go there. So I'm on more of that side. So maybe on a different perspective. Maraming nangyaring things na unexpected. So siguro what this side of independence and traveling taught me was that on how to react to situations that whenever like we get to situations that hindi masyado maganda or hindi mo in-expect, but then how you react to it and how you would like act on it is fully in your control. So that's what really JTA, I started that in JTA, and then after that yung year ko after graduation, then before having my internship in New York, I went with my mom to a few trips in Asia, so that's in Thailand and Indonesia. So I was alone then because my mom had her seminars, so I planned my own trips. So I would rent cars, I would ride trains and just go get lost somewhere in Thailand, or go on a driver's seat in a taxi in Indonesia and just get lost. So that's where I think I fully applied my my controlling myself in situations when I get there. But then if wala naman, just have fun. Like do everything, of course, safety, everything with everything in mind. Just have fun with the adventure kasi syempre hindi naman lagi-lagi yung experience na yan.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's good stuff. That's good stuff right there. And by the way, guys, like for those na di pa nakaka-Europe or nakaka-US and all that, you can definitely apply these things here too, ha? Like, for example, me, like in my case, like, I love going around the metro, like, especially dati when it was still allowed and all, right? So, back when our LRT was still working here in Katep, like, on some Saturdays, after like a hell week or something like that, I would just ride the LRT, just navigate my way through Cubao, and just, wala lang, lakad lang, chill lang. And eventually, I would book my own Grabs. And once I was able to learn how to drive, I was able to drive around Katip and just, maybe even Eslex one time. So, finding your independence, it's not really measured with how many places you travel. It's really more of the everyday habits you form and develop, because eventually you will be able to find your way naman through wherever you are. Like, for example, like concert going, that's another sign of independence there, because you book your own ticket, you arrive to the theater on time, and you just line up well and just go to your seat and all that. So definitely there are many ways to practice your own independence, and eventually once you level up now to traveling abroad or even locally, I forgot to mention, but
Of course.
yeah, local travel is also another good indicator. So in my case, nakapag-vegan ako na mag-isa, and that was for fieldwork pa and all. So that was a good gauge of testing my independence and just being able to travel with little to no supervision. So I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how far you travel, but it's really how you conduct yourself when you're away from home, wherever that is. And hopefully once matapos tong pandemya, we can be able to try out new things, travel other places, whether here or outside the Philippines. And I guess practice forming good habits and just being prepared lang, and just enjoying our experience wherever we go. So, sorry.
That's a really good insight, Jake. You have to form really good habits. You have to have discipline, especially. And you're right. You can start with local travel, because at least in local travel you don't need a lot of documents pa. So you get to practice, being prepared. And even in local travels, you have to anticipate.
You have to plan.
Yeah, you have
and
to
then
plan.
Anticipate bad situations or like unforeseen events,
and then react accordingly. So that's a really good start.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess this is a perfect way. This is the perfect last question to cap off our penultimate episode. So guys, since you mentioned, hope once this pandemic is over, like we keep hearing that phrase a lot, and hopefully we do see the light in the end of the tunnel. I know it's like realistically it's gonna take a while, but being the hopeful, delusional that I am, there will be an eventual end to this stuff. But barring any changes, barring any stuff, and maybe should this thing last a long time, eventually we're gonna go back to our traveling ways naman. So, with that being said, what are some of the places that you would like to visit once we can all travel again? So this can be you want to revisit a certain place in Europe, or you want to go to a new place in Australia or something like that. So ano yung mga bansa, ano yung mga lugar na gusto nyong puntahan once pwede nang mag-travel ulit. So hit me with those countries, guys.
Okay, so I would say Iceland. I'm really, really interested in that country kasi it's like it has its own bubble up there at the top of the globe. And of course, we see all those photos of the country na ang gaganda ng mga lagoon, ng mga sites niya, then you have the chance to see the northern lights. So I really, really am interested in that country, and I hope I can go one day, maybe in the near or the far future, but I hope I can go. And then, aside from Iceland, so because andun yung mga natural wonders na sa Iceland, ang gusto ko rin puntahan, ever since I've been interested, would be Eastern Europe kasi it's very different from the Europe that we know, yung mga Western France, yung mga Spain, Italy. Eastern Europe has its own distinct culture, its distinct history, and I'm really, really interested to like immerse myself in there and just get lost and have an adventure there. So no particular country, just that region kasi any country is fine. I would want to go there.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Yep. So again, Iceland and Eastern Europe. Yep.
Eastern Europe, yes.
Good choices. Good choices.
Thank you.
For me, actually, a lot of people want to go to Iceland because of the Northern Lights. So that's one, definitely. But you know what's interesting? When I took my master's in London, I was too focused on my studies, I guess, that I really didn't have time to go around as a tourist. Because I think London would be very much different from a tourist's perspective than a student's. So if given the chance, I would like to go back to United Kingdom, not just in Britain, not just in England, just also in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Just go around that whole island. And then, I always thought that I'm not a city girl, but after all my travels, I'd really prefer to go to big cities. So places like, Paris and New York. New York has a really special place in my heart. After I've been there for thrice.
Mm-hmm.
It's always very good to be back, and you'll always want to come back in New York, especially that we have family there. And just everything, the sights, the sounds, even the noise,
the smell, the rats in the subway,
the big city, definitely.
How about you, Jake?
Yeah, before I give my list, by the way, ika nga ni Lola Sinatra, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. It's up to you. No. Finish the song, guys. I can't sing. Finish the song.
New York.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, good choices right there. So New York, Paris. Yeah, all big countries for sure. And by the way, guys, I almost forgot. But since Leah did give her shoutouts to her roommates and all, we also have to give Tita Joyce a major shout out because she's the resident European, and she's the one who really helped both Leah and Chin Chin find their way. Like, we all know how hard it is to navigate through Europe, right? But uh, without my very hospitable aunt, I don't know how far these two would have gone. And who knows, once they go to Europe, I mean, Tita Joyce, if you're listening to this podcast, you may have to
Yes.
babysit these two again, The warning for you po.
Tito Pengoy, actually. Tito Pengoy hosted us one time when my mom visited. So he toured us around Switzerland as well. It was unfortunate though that I wasn't able to see Tita Joyce in Belgium. But definitely sometime after this pandemic, hopefully.
I would want to give a big shout out to Tita Joyce. A very big thank you, because she toured us around Brussels and then in Bruges and then in Ghent. We really had a fun time, me and my roommate. We really had a fun time, and Tita Joyce was the reason for that very fun trip, those fun days in Belgium. So, hi Tita Joyce, thank you very much, and I really, really miss you.
Yes, definitely. All right, my turn. So, while those are good lists for you guys, mine is quite different. So, because these countries or these parts of the globe I've never been to before, so I'm not gonna mention the places that I've already been to, just because I want to diversify, obviously. But obviously Canada, I want to try going to, like, I want to experience Canadian culture. Like, I don't know, they say it's like similar to the US, maybe not, but yeah, I think
To see.
yeah, definitely. And of course, Niagara Falls, you can't go wrong with that. Obviously, when you say Canada, the first capital or the first thing to come to mind is Toronto, obviously. But of course, I want to see other places there, like Vancouver, Ontario. Basically, like Chin Chin, the less commercial, or like the less commercialized parts of Canada. I'd like to try it out for sure. Outside of Canada, actually, this list is predominantly Asian because I'm proud of my Asian roots. So obviously, I actually want to go to Osaka. I've already been to Tokyo before, but I want to see the other parts of Japan, like Osaka, Kyoto. But yeah, Osaka talaga. Like, that would have been nice to take a side trip there. But obviously, the first Japan visit, our main focus was Tokyo. But yeah, hopefully one of these days I can try out Osaka for sure. Obviously, I want to try out Bali over in Indonesia. Like, I want to see if, like, it's good as advertised, because Bali is known for their beaches, right? So I want to see if it's just another Boracay or if it's like a unique beach on its own. So I'd like to figure that out. But I know I'm sure y'all know where I'm going from here. South freaking Korea, guys. Yep. Obviously,
yeah.
if you want to try the soju, you want to try the beer, the noodles, and all that. But none of those really matter because really, for me, I just gotta go to South Korea to see Lee Ji-yoon, guys. If you don't know who that is, that's basically IU. And
Yes.
no episode is complete without an IU shout out. So yeah, hopefully go to South Korea, hop on the white van, and just friendly or just nicely kidnap IU. For sure. But no, in all seriousness, like we always have this dinner conversation with my family. Like, we would love to go to South Korea talaga. Like, I don't know, like, there's something about Korean culture that just astounds us. Like I said, like my parents, they watch a lot of K-drama and
You live
I'm
in a lot
sure.
of K-pop.
yes. So hopefully, hopefully my dad will be able to meet Sari, my mom will be able to meet Hyunbin. Of course, my brother hopefully he meets one of the Twice members. Hopefully my sis, who is an ARMY stan, will be able to check out one of the BTS members. But none of those matter because I just need to see IU. I mean, she's basically the equivalent of Chin Chin's celebrity crush on Christy right there.
Exposed.
It's okay, guys. We all have our celebrity crushes for sure, and that was just one of them right there. So yeah, with that out of the way, I would like to thank the two of you for hopping onto this show. I know it's like we're just we just came from Christmas, which is one of the busiest time of the year, and I'm sure we just want to spend the last week of this super extraordinary year just sitting down, relaxing, resting. But the fact that these two were kind enough to spend like an hour, I think, an hour or so, just talking with me on this pod, it was pretty good stuff. So I would like to thank you both for being here on the show. So any parting
Thank
words,
you.
any last words before we call it a wrap?
No, Jake, this was a really nice, nostalgic moment for me because I don't get to talk about my JTA or my travels to anyone actually. I mean, siguro sawa na sila. But being there and then being able to reminisce a lot of memories from back then, it really, it's a great way to end such a bad
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And never ako sawa to hear your story. So go lang. If you have many more stories to share off cam, go ahead. I'm more than welcome to hear them.
At least you'll get to look forward to more travels in the coming years because we're more excited than ever to travel again, right?
Mm-hmm. How about you, Leah? Any parting words before we wrap it up?
Siguro, since traveling, it's people say traveling only counts when you go like abroad and then it stops there. Traveling stops there. For me, traveling kasi is like a journey. So of course, it starts there when you go to your country. But when you go back, parang people just assume na makakalimutan mo na yan. But for me kasi, you learn things there. So parang classroom, you don't learn all the lessons in life in the classroom. You learn it when in action. So ganun na traveling. You learn a lot. Adaptability. You have to learn to adjust well, to think fast, to anticipate. Those are lessons that when you learn fine in traveling, but you can apply them when you go back home or when you're wherever you are. So ngayon, siguro we had this very unpredictable 2020 and we can apply those lessons here. Adaptability, becoming rational, not being overcome by emotions, and then I don't want to say enjoy, pero being thankful for what you have and reflecting na ito yung mga nangyari, ito yung thankful ako, at ito yung mga siguro pwede ko pang i-improve next time. So traveling and life, they're all on the same plane, and that's what I want to partake sa mga listeners mo. That it's a lifelong thing. Traveling is a lifelong thing.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Ako naman, like, while it's fun to travel, while it's fun to see other cultures, never forget where you came from at the end of the day. Because the problem with most people who travel, they have this colonial mindset na, oh, look at this country, sobrang, or mas umaasento sila compared to us back here. So why not act like them and all? And I'm not saying na don't take their lessons. Like, if anything, there are some values that they have that maybe we can apply. But we also have some values back home that we would definitely be sharing to them as well. So I guess at the end of the day, like, know where you come from pa rin. Like, if anything, the farther you go, the more proud you should be of being Filipino. So always remember where you come. And this also goes to my international listeners. Like, even if you're going to other countries, never ever forget your roots. And I guess this also means na if we have the opportunity, and I'm sure you do, because it's much easier, but it's also more, you also get to appreciate our country more. Like, also try out traveling locally. Like, diba, support local when we buy products. The same goes with, going to other places in the Philippines. And sana wag lang yung mga popular, ha. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, but like, instead of just going for Boracay and Cebu and Baguio or all the other popular places, try out the exotic places. Try out the places that are not really as advertised by media, because they have other places or they have other stuff that they have to offer. Like, when my family and my lolo, we went to Mindoro back in 2012, they had a lot of cool stuff that we didn't know. When we went to Coron back in 2014, like they didn't have the underground river that Palawan has, but they have those cool pink sand beaches. I didn't know about that. So we become more, or Oslo, another example. Like it's not in the heart of Cebu, but they're known for their whale sharks and all that. So I guess my point is, the more we expose ourselves with local cultures, local cuisine, local practices, the more we appreciate our cultural heritage, ika nga. Yeah, shout out Doc Z, by the way. But yeah, we appreciate our cultural heritage more. And even if we go abroad, even if we go outside Philippine soil, I'm sure mas lalo tayong magiging proud na Filipino kami. Or Filipino tayo. And it's not the toxic Pinoy pride, but it's really legit, genuine, authentic Pinoy pride that I'm talking about. So yeah, support local, travel locally, and even if you're outside the Philippines, never ever forget where you came from. All right. So yeah, pretty good insights right here by the Magpinsan, and what better way to have you guys as literally my last guests for the show. So spoiler alert, we are going to have that grand finale. Yep, as much as 2020's been that year, hindi kaya na mga powers niya sa aking pasabog. So
Yes.
this is my invite to my cousins over here. Please do tune into that. It's gonna be super duper fire, and I promise you guys it's gonna be the perfect send up to what has been an imperfect year for sure. So once again, Lee and Chichin, thank you for being here on the show. Thank you for being my last guests for season 1. And technically suki na kayo, so you guys are definitely more than welcome for season 2, which will be even better. That is for sure.
Looking forward to it.
So before we do go, do you have any plugs? Do you have any last minute invites and all that? I think Leah did give her plugs in one of our earlier episodes, but I'm sure some of my listeners may have forgot, so this is your chance. And I guess Chin Chin, even though she's not really a social media savvy person, I guess she has some plugs that she may have been hiding from us this whole time. So now's her chance to share them. Of course, hindi lang kayo nahihiya, but if nahihiya kayo, it's all good.
Of course, I want to give a very loud shout out to my JTA classmates, because if it weren't for them, I would really be lonely during my JTA, as well as my classmates at Hot International Business School. So without them, the Filipinos and my international classmates in JTA and at Hot. So really, they make up most of the very good experiences I had when I was abroad. So it's not just about you being independent, it's really with the people you're with, and the fun that you have with them. And yeah, that's it. Of course, my family. Because without their support, I wouldn't be able to get to see those places, diba? So, syempre, major shout out to my parents, of course, because their support is everything. So, yeah.
Definitely. Couldn't have said any better. So, ikaw naman, Leah, do you have any shout outs, plugs, all that other good stuff?
So, syempre, also a big thank you to my parents, to my friends who I met there around the world, kung anong mang bansa yun. Also, a shout out to Tita Joyce,
Definitely.
my family, of course, in Europe. Then, our family in New York, our family in San Francisco. Marami yun. And then, I would also just want to take this opportunity to wish every listener here Happy New Year, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and hopefully you're all safe and healthy there.
Yeah, that's for sure. So thanks for all your shout outs and thanks for all your plugs. And yeah, shout out to Tita Joyce, an avid listener of the show. She keeps liking my stuff always. Every time we post a new teaser and all that. So major shout out to you, Tita Joyce. And hopefully we can see each other in person again soon. And that goes for all the other relatives around the world. So for me naman, y'all know the drill. If you want to follow me on IG for the pod account, it is at joat.pod.dlro. So once again, it is at joat.pod.delro. For the personal account, it is at Jake_Delro. On Twitter naman, it is at _Del_Ro_. On Facebook, you got facebook.com/joat.pod.delro. Or if you just want to search it on the search tab, it is Jacob of All Trades with Del Ro. This podcast can be streamed, televised, viewed, and listened to on the following platforms: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Anchor, Breaker, and on YouTube. And also on FB Live, by the way, which will be the main medium for our finale before we call 2020 a wrap. But with that being said, that's a wrap, yo. Thank you for tuning in today, mga Del Bros and Sisters, and sa lahat na mga magpinsan dyan. By the way, this is also a good time to finally point out that all the Alejo siblings were featured in season 1, so major accomplishments right there. Shout out to Gio for hopping on the show earlier this month. So finally, had all 3 Alejo siblings featured here. Thank you to all of you. Despite your busy schedules, nakapag-usap kami tayong lahat. And yeah, really, it was nice. It was nice talking to each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Yes. I got lost in my outro because of that, but it's all good. I had to give Gio a shout out as well. This has been your one and only Jacob of All Trades, and I am Delro. These are the Alejo Sisters, and we are all signing out. Hanggang sa susunod na usapan at chikahan. See ya. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.